I broke my mic stand. Stranger Things is back with its third season being released on the 4th of July this year. It picks up from season 2 with all the characters being the same but experiencing new stuff. Mike and Elle and Lucas and Max are now in a relationship. Joyce is contemplating about her husband's death. Dustin is back from camp and says that he has a new girlfriend, which nobody believes. Nancy and Jonathan are working in an area where it'd be better to leave than to stay. And Steve and a new member, Robin, is working in the ice cream parlor, which is part of the newly established Starcourt Mall. Everything goes well for everyone until Will gets a nerve around his body yet again, warning him that trouble is coming quickly in the city of Hawkins. They don't know yet, but from the Furious perspective, a new monster from the Upside Down has been in the real world ever since Elle closed down the gate, because apparently the shadow that controlled Will is still in the real world. Known as the Mind Flayer, this monster apparently is diagnosed with pica, eating inedible materials like plant fertilizers and cleaning chemicals. It also brings in rats into a specific area which eventually explode into biomass. But this actually helps it to grow. The Mind Flayer is able to fuse the biomass to form into a larger creature, and it needs something else much bigger than rats. In this case, humans. Not just using humans to get more of the biomass, but to also control them to bring in more people. At the end of the first episode, returning character Billy, which is also Max's stepbrother, gets caught when he enters in what the fuck was it called? Brimborn Steelworks, where the rats are inhabited and the Mind Flayer is, but he doesn't know about that. And this is when eventually the conflict starts to emerge in the season. In addition to this, the Starcourt apparently inhabits a secret Russian military base, stories below the mall, where they're trying to open the gate back into the Upside Down. With Billy being controlled by the Mind Flayer and the Russians trying to open the gate back, the gang has to solve the mystery again, but in separate groups apart from each other. Season 1 and 2 were great, but I just feel like season 2 just felt a little bit slower than season 1 because it was just it just took more episodes to actually start the climax. I'm guessing it was just to like recap and reintroduce the characters again because it's been a year after season 1, and I think that applies to season 3 as well. Like season 2, season 3 starts very slow again after like 3 or 4 episodes when it starts to pick up, but I think they did that just to show the audience not only the changes in the characters after 1 year, but also how the environment changes after 1 year, because in 1 year a lot of things change. And for some people to say that the environment of season 3 is almost realistically nostalgic to them, that's when the Duffer Brothers are doing their job well. Speaking of nostalgia, there's a bunch of references to other classics that is mentioned in this season. One of them clearly being the Russian Terminator lookalike and the many movies shown in the theater like Back to the Future and Day of the Dead. Also, they probably spent a shit ton of money just on the Starcourt Mall alone. It's up until around episode 4 when I'm just like, oh yeah, this is about to get started. Nancy realizes that Mrs. Driscoll doesn't have schizophrenia or some kind of disorder. Steve, Dustin, Robin, and Lucas's sister, apparently Erica Sinclair, find the substance that's used to generate the machine to open the gate, and the kids find out that their fight against Billy is going to be much more troubling than they thought. And I think that starting from here, this is when I just got more engaged to the show. I was just like, I just kept watching it. Same with the last two. I liked the season a lot more, mainly because of the acting of every character. It's so fitting to their role, and they perfectly fit in the 80s era. One in particular, Dacre Montgomery, who obviously played as Billy, was the spotlight for me throughout the whole season. In this season, obviously he was the villain, but he also executed Billy's personality a lot well, and it showed us what Billy truly is, rather than being some Chad. But in general, everyone played their part very well. David Harbour, obviously Winona Ryder, and Dacre Montgomery are the ones that stood out to me the most. Another thing I want to mention is the different groups that are shown in the whole season. You have one group of the boys and Elle, one group of Nancy and Jonathan, one group of Dustin, Erica, Robin, and Steve, and one with Harper and Joyce. Each group faces different problems, but they're all related to one another, and it's so enjoyable when all the groups finally meet each other in the last leg of the season. Yeah, there's a lot to know considering it's like 4 different groups, but the situation starts to make more sense as they quickly find more answers to the problems. Nancy and Jonathan eventually meet the kids, then comes Erica, Steve, and Robin, and then finally Hopper and Joyce. It all comes in a very nice way, and it's somewhat nostalgic to season 1 days. Another factor I want to mention that made this season particularly good was the comedy used on this one. I think I'm enjoying this season the most based on the comedic timing, because there's so many scenes where the characters give out some kind of joke or sarcasm in the appropriate time. There were some parts that felt unnecessary, but I thought that all of the scenes that had the comedic timing were executed very well. One character I want to point out that made me probably laugh the most in the season was Erica Sinclair, played by Priya Ferguson. I just think that portraying Erica as this 10-year-old girl who acts as this sarcastic and frank character is something that I really didn't expect to happen, but it did, and they did it well. I really did like this season, but it had some few negatives that I didn't enjoy. One being the relationship with Billy and Karen Wheeler, like Mike's mom. I had no idea why that happened, to be honest, in the first place, and it never really went anywhere after Billy became controlled from the mind flayer. It was very forgettable and unnecessary, just like that scene in season 2 when Elle goes to that place where she meets her lost sister, something like that. It's just, there's really no point because it didn't really go anywhere at all. It just felt like it was like those porn videos that had those pointless stories to it in the beginning before they had the sex, but in this scenario it just didn't have the porn. It was just a pointless story. Another problem, which I feel like would be a bit controversial, but at least for me, is the story in general in this season. I know it was a good story. I will admit that. The Duffer Brothers wrote a good story in this one. It's just the Mind Flayer has never left and it's coming back to get revenge in the real world. It's simple but an effective story. But I feel like that season 2 should have just ended all the problems they've had before. What I mean is, after they closed the gate and just removed all the monsters back into the Upside Down, I feel like they should have let the kids learn more about the Upside Down world and figure out how to even got there in the first place. I know that the finale of season 2 showed like the Mind Flayer showing outside in the school of the snowball dance, but I feel like that could have been used in a future season rather than the season right after, and it could have been used to, like, I don't know, prevent the kids from learning more about the Upside Down world. I don't know. I just feel like this story in this season feels repetitive from the other two. Like, it's always, hey, there's a bad guy. Oh, we gotta find a way to stop it. Oh, now we found a way to stop it, and now we stopped it. Great, and it just goes on again. I'm just worried that that's gonna happen in the future seasons, and I hope there's something different happens. Now this is when the huge spoilers come in, so I'm giving you another warning. I already gave you one in the start. If you didn't fucking read that, you better leave now if you haven't read it. Here's the motherfucking tea. So, I did not expect any deaths to happen in the season, or at least I didn't expect any major character to die in this season, and it actually really surprised me. It was very unexpected when Hopper died in that laboratory, which I'll explain more later, but they really took a really risky part on that one, but I think they did it well with Elle reading the additional message that Hopper wrote, which was it was a really nice ending. It was pretty sad. Also, fucking Alexei, man. Like, I did not expect to have such emotions for someone that I really didn't care about to start. Like, at the beginning when he was escaping with Hopper and Joyce, I was just like, are they really gonna? What's the point of this guy? Like, what is he there for? As we know more about him, like, he hasn't really known about the American culture, so they like experience it in the carnival, and like he won like a prize, like the Woody Woodpecker plush, and it's so fucking wholesome, and then it's just so sad when he just gets shot by the Terminator guy. It's unexpectedly. It's just like, fuck. That shit hurt, man. Rest in peace, Alexei and his Woody Woodpecker plush. Going on with Hopper, though, I'm just gonna say it straight up. I think everyone agrees with this. He's not dead. Of course, he's obviously not fucking dead. Like, obviously, it's so obvious he's not dead. I mean, for one, There's no way he would have disintegrated in the laboratory. Like in the scene when he was getting disintegrated, there was these 4 people. Apparently, I guess they worked at the secret base, and they came in, and we were shown that they were disintegrated, but there was no scene where Hopper was disintegrated. We didn't see any of that. For 2, at the finale of season 3, these Russians say, and back in Russia, these Russians soldiers say,
No, not the American.
and for 3, they can't just kill Hopper like that. Like, come on. He's like one of the main characters of the show. He's just such an important character. He's the fucking chief police of Hawkins. You can't just let him die like that, bro. Like, he's a fan favorite for everyone, including myself. And then they just ended off season 3 with a fucking death of a character that everyone fucking liked. He's not dead. Of course he's not. Plus, you can't just leave Joyce like that. First, she has to witness her husband dying, and now she has to witness her possible future husband getting burned up. It's not happening though. Hopper's coming back for sure in season 4. I think that's about the main points I have to say about the season. Yet another great season. I think it's in par with season 1, a lot better than season 2 in my opinion. Still fantastic acting from everyone, incredible production, and yeah, surprisingly many perfect comedic timings. And also, I didn't mention this, I also have to mention the aesthetic they used for this one. I think it was very vibrant in this season. Season 1 and season 2 were very dull. They were like just very dark and dull, like the 80s. Like, you wouldn't see the 80s like that. Now it's like this is like the iconic 80s like style. And yeah, again, the characters in this execute their role so perfectly in a time when anything can happen, literally, because it's the fucking 80s. And also, I can't end this review without mentioning Robin. She's like up there. She's like one of my favorite characters now. Did you know that she was the daughter of Uma Thurman? Me neither. I don't think anyone realized that until searching him up. I think that's all I have to say.